Overpopulation of urban areas has led to numerous problems. Identify one or two serious ones and suggest ways that governments and individuals can tackle these problems. Hi everyone, today this is the question that we are going to see here. It is not an opinion question, so we are not supposed to give our personal opinion anywhere in this particular question. So we have a title sentence here, that is a statement here. The statement says like this: overpopulation of urban centers has led to numerous problems. Already has led to numerous problems. Identify one or two serious ones. You can say go one or two, and suggest way that governments and individuals, these two segments in the society, how they can do their parts in tackling these problems. So two questions are there. You have to provide one or two reasons for this, one or two, not reasons, one or two serious problems of overpopulation in city centers. And then you have to suggest what governments can do and what individuals can do in tackling these problems. So this is what exactly this question is asking. They are not asking your own personal opinion. They are asking a general thing in the sense they ask you what exactly two problems are, one or two serious ones. So you have a more serious, less serious, moderately serious. We can classify problems are many. We can say more serious, moderately serious, less serious. So you have to select from the more serious ones. For more serious segment, you need to select one or two. And now we have to suggest what the ways governments and individuals can tackle these problems. So how can governments tackle this problem in one segment? How can individuals? So governments and individuals, both they have to adopt different measures in tackling these problems. So that also we need. These two questions have to be answered. So it is to be answered. These questions are to be answered objectively in a general perspective. So if I suggest something, if I say that is a serious issue, so around out of 100, around 90 to 95%, they have to agree that. So there may be some disagreement somewhere, but nearly 100% of the population of this people have to, general public have to agree to what I have said in these things. So two serious problems. If I mention two serious problems, it should be accepted by most of the people. It should not be your own personal point here. That is the thing here. Now we have to see from the very beginning. Okay, so the statement part is expressed here in the first sentence. Many urban centers are affected by the problem of overswelling of population. The problem of overswelling of population is seen in many urban centers. So this is what we have said: overpopulation in urban areas had many numerous problems. So where are the problems mentioned? The problems are mentioned here. Two of its bitter issues. Due to the swelling of population, we have two bitter issues, along with some ways to solve these are outlined in the ensuing paragraph. In the following paragraph, in the ensuing paragraphs, I can say two bitter issues. Two bitter issues are outlined. Along with that, I can say that solutions, some ways to solve these things are mentioned in the following paragraphs. So the topic is addressed in the introduction. Here the topic. So the continuation, it is linked to the second sentence, two of its bitter issues, the problems, and we have completed. So in the ensuing paragraph, in the coming paragraph, so it is giving a hint that in the coming paragraph, we are going to say two things. One is two bitter issues. Two is solution for these things, some ways to solve. Okay, so that is the heading, that is the introduction we have framed. Clear? Now I'm going with the first particular paragraph here. So two bitter issues in the thesis, we have said two bitter issues. The two worst problems, so it is addressed here, the two worst problems which can stem from this. So this is overswelling of population, are social and economic imbalances among the city dwellers. So city dwellers have social imbalance, economic imbalance. Now the heading for the paragraph is given. Paragraph heading is given here. This is the paragraph heading. So two problems you are going to say in this paragraph. First is social problem, second is economic problem. Now turning to the social crisis, crisis means plural, plural of crisis. So crisis is singular, crisis is plural. So two, turning to the social problems, that is a crisis. The first is the increasing demands. So increasing demands is the first problem. So the first is here. So first the title is given, now the subtitle, social crisis. So that is increasing demands. For instance, for example, so we are going to deal with the social crisis. What are the social crises? What do you think is the increasing demands? An excessive hike in population automatically raises the demand for, number one, food, water, living space, education, health, sanitation, and transport. We do have problems here. All these areas we do have problems. So there are demands. Excessive, when excessive population is there, excessive demand will be there for food, excessive demand will be there for water, living space, education, health, sanitation, and transport. So cities need to satisfy its citizens with all these facilities. When there is an excessive number of population, the authorities might not be always able to avail these facilities in satisfying levels to the population, in the satisfying level. So in the required amount, cities may not be able, the authorities may not be able to provide this population with insatisfying levels. And this results in social unrest. So what is going to happen is that it results in social unrest. So we have social imbalance, that's clear here. Now we are moving to number two. This is the second area, that is economic crisis. The economic crisis, turning to the economic crisis. The worst is the problem of increasing competition to find a secure job. So what was the first problem here? Increasing demands. Now the competition to find a secure job. Many would stay unemployed even after years of completion of their studies. So even after years of completion of their studies, it means how many years you might have passed your graduation or post-graduation, and you waited for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, still you are not finding any job. This is the problem here. Even after years of completion of your studies, you won't be able to find the jobs there, your jobs there. This would diminish the demand of workers. What happens is that the demand of workers, it would be diminishing. So when you will be staying unemployed, you know that you'll be having less opportunities, more workforce is there, less demand is there for work, and you'll be staying unemployed for some time. So what happens is that you'll be getting lower wages. You'll be getting opportunities, but you'll be getting lower wages. They would be forced to work at lower wages. So you will be working for the lower wages. Okay, the demand of the workers will be decreasing. At the same time, they be working for the lower wages. This is what this paragraph says. The paragraph is complete. Here, let's see from the beginning. The topic is addressed. What is to be said in the paragraph? It is addressed. Two worst problems. They have as two serious problems. So two worst problems. Number one is social, economic. Turning to the social crisis, it is explained. Turning to the economic crisis, it's explained. So we have seen that the task is addressed very clearly. The two topics, two bitter issues they have mentioned with examples, with explanation. So it is very clear. In simple sentences, in standard way of presentation, everything is adopted here in a better view. Now, I have to move ahead to the next particular paragraph. So we have the next thing. Suggest way that governments and individuals can tackle these problems. So the first is governments. When assessing the ways what governments can do to tackle this issue. So how can government solve this issue? That this topic is about governments. What is the role of government in mitigating the issue? What is the role of governments in solving the problem? The best is proper town planning. So town planning is the best here. For instance, both the aforementioned problems are seen in higher intensities where the cities are not planned. You can say where the cities are not planned, you'll be having more social problems, more economic problems. But when the cities are planned well, you can say this town planning in Dubai, in some other countries in Singapore, we have best town planning facilities there. They build accommodation for this many people. They build hospitals for to satisfy these people. Educational institutions, water supply, sanitation, everything, transportation, everything they be planning. So if you are planning for another 10 years or 20 years, that is something which a government which has a greater vision, a better vision for the future generation. So it is not just for the existing ones. So many cities are planning for the existing ones. So existing population is not, this is not the thing. We are planning, the governments of our government should plan for the future population. Then only we can solve the problem. If we are satisfying the problems for the existing population, then the problem will remain. So the future generation, after 5 years, the same problem will happen. You have to find another solution. So you have to think in advance, in the sense after 10 years, how my future generation will be living. So we have to have a better vision, a long-term plan for solving this issue. Then only we can say that this problem can be mitigated, this problem can be solved. The governments have to do proper town planning. They have to have better visions in satisfying the needs of the future population, not the existing ones. So if you are going and solving with the existing population, the problems of the existing population, then it won't be the perfect one. You have to move ahead and solve the problems of the future population. So that's what governments have to do. Now, individuals. What individuals can do? What is the role of individuals here? Individuals, on the other hand, can also play their role in mitigating the issue. So we can say that individuals have their own ways to mitigate the issue. How? Explanation. Couples can restrict the number of childbirths in a highly populated cities. You know that the competition, the social problems are there. They won't be able to find jobs. They won't be able to find enough water supply, food supply. Why your children have to suffer? So you need to reduce the number of pregnancies, that is childbirths. So this is what we have to do. Couples, individuals, they can decide. It's not the government. Individuals can decide this thing. So governments, they are, when they are planning the cities for the future, their role is over there. But individuals have a greater responsibility. You can say that individuals have to say, 1 minute, please. Okay. So individuals have a greater responsibility here. They can restrict the number of childbirth. Number 2, parents can help children in molding their career perspective into less competitive fields. So what is meant by this particular thing? Number 1 is restricting the number of children. Number 2 is that helping children in molding their career perspective. You have to divert your children in, so they may have, say for example, many parents and many children, they just focus on one particular job, and if everyone tries with this particular job, then the competition will be more. So you have to move ahead with diversity of the job. So you need to go ahead with the agricultural field somewhere. So we have high-tech methods of agriculture. It's not the traditional farming I'm meaning. So we have the courses of driving. We have the courses of some other areas where very few people are concentrating their career. So you'll be getting better opportunities there. So it's not over there. Multiple job training is essential in these days to ease the pressure. You are not just concentrating on one particular job. So you have to be a driver, you have to be an engineer too, you have to be a cook, you have to be an engineer too. So you have, if you have multiple skills, multiple abilities, and you can survive in the job market, you can easily find jobs there, you can easily solve the problems of job cut or redundancy there. Employers will be liking you because you have multiple talents. So if you know only one work, then you have to wait for that work. So if you are skilled in 2 or 3 other areas, you'll be getting more chances. So individuals, parents can do this. They can make their children good in doing these things. Then it will be okay. So you'll be finding better solution here. So individuals, you can see when the part of governments and individuals are assessed, individuals have a greater responsibility in solving these issues here. Now, let's move ahead with the conclusion. To conclude, the serious concerns which are expected in every city with an uncontrolled population are basically social and economic. So we have said that these are social and economic. This is the paragraph we have summarized in the conclusion. Number 1. Number 2, however, provided that means if both governments and individuals do their responsibilities in a proper way, these crises can be mitigated. So we can solve these crises if individuals and governments they do their responsibility in a proper way. Individuals have to do their responsibilities, their duties in their own way, the better ways. Appropriate measures have to be taken. At the same time, governments also. So these measures are mentioned here in these 2 paragraphs, and these are summarized here. So all the 3 paragraphs are summarized in the conclusion, and we have got a better picture here. Let's see the word count, how it goes. How many words are there? It's looking a little bit lengthy here, but I don't think that it will be. It's around 300 words. So we have reached around 300 mark. So we just always try to maintain a word count less than 300. So that will be an ideal formal presentation. But we have said a lot of things here. A very well explained essay. So all the things, what are the problems? 2 ways, 2 serious problems we have mentioned. Explanation is given. Then how governments can do. The governments, it's a separate paragraph there. Individuals, it's given a separate paragraph there. Conclusion, we have the summary of all these things here. So that's why we have come to the end of this explanation. And now it's time for our doubt clearance.